Hollywood Hammers. I think the play right now is leaving both options open, but you have to be very careful if you do that, if you do end up in these all-out melee compositions, that you do have one that can outperform your opponents, because a lot of times it does end up just being a purely compositional thing once you have 6 melee heroes going toe-to-toe on the fold.
Certainly can be the case. The next band's going to be coming on through after Rhyme and Blackfeather. Fairly unsurprisingly picked up right there. And it's going to be Rona taken off the table right here. They don't want this full melee brawl.
I actually love this Rona ban because it opens up the opportunity for Hammers to pick another melee-type brawler and prevent the Rona from coming through. Because if they were to lock in the Rona themselves, who's just so good in these melee brawls, Rogue just doesn't pick another melee hero, and all of a sudden the Rona's left out to dry. So a very smart ban by the Hammers, just because it keeps their options open. Because if they had tried to pick up something that was melee that wasn't the Rona, Rogue just easily takes the Rona and wins those brawls. If they take the Rona themselves, they get hard countered regardless. So it was a very smart ban to take that one off the board.
Indeed, what is still going to be open for Rogue is the Vox pick if they do decide to go with it. What I would like to see come out here from Hammers is actually to take that Vox pick and play the CP Blackfeather in the jungle, just so that you have that matchup which works decent in the favor of Blackfeather. He's able to last it over the Rhyme, but they do go for a Lance. And Rogue, with banning the Arden, I'm interested to see if they're going to pick up Churnwalker here. That would be something to watch.
Churnwalker or Catherine, I feel like, are the two most likely selections for Rogue to take here. Evol is obviously, I think, would be comfortable on either of those two heroes. Could even go for something a little out of the box with like a Finn, maybe even a Fortress comes out. Who knows? We've already seen that Hammers are willing to pick that up in the captain slot as well. So with the Rhyme already in their lineup, they're going to have a pretty strong early game. They're going to have that, excellent bruiser in these team fights that can shut people down. And so it's a matter of if they want to try and emphasize that, or if they want to try and shore up, some other assets of the game that Rhyme isn't as strong into.
Taking their time here, Rogue, with this pickup. It's tough, but they go for the Saw. Very interesting. I mean, we've seen it from a couple of teams utilized with the Rhyme, and they do go for the Churnwalker. It's something that could have been expected, or we did expect it just because of the Arden ban following the Lyra. This composition, though, it has a lot of early game pressure, and Churnwalker plays great with that, because if you are the one who's aggressing, then you're able to set up the team fights, you're able to set up your chains and hooks before you're being initiated on. So, Rogue with a very strong draft.
Yeah, this is definitely a draft that can do a ton of damage. Hammers, I feel like they need something with some range to be able to combat this, and they're going to go for the pedal. This, I feel like, could very easily be a weapon pedal in the lane. I almost feel like it should be a weapon pedal, because if you go for this crystal pedal late game, Rhyme and Saw are just going to tear through those minions and leave you as an ineffective hero on the fold, whereas the weapon pedal with the crystal Blackfeather, they can keep their distance. They can poke at this Saw. Whenever he starts to spin up, just start using those on points and just really try and harass him down.
Regardless who is going to be in the lane, I think it's going to be very difficult for Hammers to try and hold off that early game, because both Blackfeather and Petal can be very weak in the lane, and they have Saw on the other hand who's going to be pushing against them. So it's a matter of surviving the early game if Hammers want to win. On the other hand, Rogue, they really need to snowball.
This should be an incredibly exciting final. It's going to be Rogue going up against Hammers here. Two teams that have been looking to climb up the scoreboard, and Rogue with a very real chance of finishing this week at the top of that table. Hashtag Vainglory8. Let us know who you are supporting. Who do you think will take this final? It's time to find out and pass it back over to our casters to get into the grand final of North America.
Thank you very much, Munch. Here we go. Grand final time. Rogue versus Hammers. Got Rogue on the blue side. Hammers over on the red. Me and Source bringing you the action. And Rogue coming out yet again with a very interesting composition. Churnwalker and the Saw with a sprinkle and a Rhyme.
I like it. I definitely like seeing the Churnwalker on the other side. On the other side, Status has gotten himself the Blackfeather. It is going to be the CP Blackfeather, so a slightly different way of playing the hero. Evol gonna land a hook on the chicken, but really is just there to keep an eye on the side of Hollywood Hammers And this is a kind of a make or break moment for both these teams. Rogue could solidify themselves and basically make this a two-horse race for the final spot between them and TSM, whereas Hammers could be on the beginning of their climb to glory.
Yeah, we are in week 2, remember, as well, so Hammers have got that real possibility. They've been showing up thus far, and I mean, taking those games of Cloud9 just off small, minute advantages was just something that you'd expect from top-tier teams. They're proving it just now. Rogue, funnily enough, they've got the turret saw, and they are push turret.
They've also got the Churn Walker, and so this is an interesting lane composition, because as long as Evil is landing hooks, he's dishing out some damage. If he lands 2 hooks, and that allows for Hammy to transfer all of that damage across those chains. If he's landing 3 hooks, then team fights start getting out of control. You also have to worry about the fact that when you're playing up against a Saw, you're playing in this very dangerous position of how close can I get to him before he starts landing 2-3 auto attacks before I can turn around and walk away. If a hook is landed, Torment comes in, you are stuck. You're not going anywhere. Chicken needs to be very careful about the moment he impales. He misses an impale, which he hasn't missed a lot of them, but if one does happen, he's going to be handing over free kills to Hammy. And we can already see how much pressure that Hollywood Hammers is being put under with this composition.
Tibbs is just chasing around Status. He's all over the show right now. Doesn't want to leave him alone for the second, because he knows if Rogue, they do lose momentum in the lane, it could very well spell that their turret being taken down. Hammy right now just putting so much pressure on Starting All Over. Had to actually pop the flask a little bit earlier, as did Chicken, and already floodgates are being opened as Rogue do start to do a lot of damage to that first tier turret.
Yeah, this is a no Book of Eulogies Saw, so it's all about the crits.
Oh
the combo.
no! Kicking with the impaled Wait, what?
He got
Starting
him!
All Over fell as well? Hammy! Okay, Starting All Over stepping out to the play, and Hammy knocked him completely flat on his face.
Deceptive visual effects of a suppressing fire. I thought that Starting All Over was out of the side, or out of the abilities hitbox, but apparently not. It was one extra tick that brought him down, and now we have a 3-minute Sorrow Blade plus boots for Hammy. He's got 2 kills, 30 CS. He's up 10 on Starting All Over. Oh boy, this looks like the Saw, which we've seen been banned out, we've seen it be very powerful, is a problem, and we haven't even really gotten Sibs into the equation just yet. He's been harassing things in the jungle. He's had, plenty of time to free farm. There's been no early aggression from the side of Hollywood Hammer. Status will get that middle tree end, but it was a 2v1. Chicken needed to come in there and secure things, and we've already got Hammy back on the turret. He's going for another kill.
Oh, Starting All Over, not quite going down. The water balloon didn't quite pop, but Sib's still chasing in the 2v1, by the way. Chicken going very low, had to back off. And now Rogue, they are going to be able to destroy the first turret, funnily enough. But when used on Starting All Over, didn't quite find the kill. But Hammy, he's coming out big already. And with a 4-minute turret on the board for Rogue, they are looking to make their name.
I mean, Churnwalker is an unfamiliar hero for a lot of people at this point, at least in terms of competitive. Yeah, we've had him for a few weeks. We've seen some great games on him last week. A lot of those coming out of Flash X. But there's still a lot to be figured out in terms of what those lane compositions look like. And then when you consider the fact that Shaw has been banned out pretty steadily across all of 2.9, when would you have had time to know what it's like to play up against the Churn Walker plus the Saw? Yeah, you can theorize that it's going to be dangerous. Anything that lets Saw dish out more damage is good. But, knowing that and then having experience playing up against it are 2 very, very different things. And so that early pressure has allowed Sibs to be, have pretty much free reign throughout the jungle and put Hammy very far ahead.
Sibs does not care how many people he bumps into, by the way, with Hollywood Hammers. He will walk towards them. He is level 6 with the Shatter Glass. He doesn't really mind all too much. He knows he has Evol as well to get his back. Hollywood Hammers, they've got the level disadvantage as well. Status and Starting All Over, both level 5. Although a double impale does land. Valkyrie's going to come out in more of a defensive manner, and that's perfectly exactly what they needed. Hammy picks up another kill on Starting All Over. Chicken's going to disintegrate as well. And with Rogue with 4 kills, they're about to crack the second turret in 5 minutes and 30 seconds.
The chains spread so much damage so quickly, and it's just so devastating with how strong Hammy already is. He's got more than enough gold. He should be able to pick up that Tyrant's monocle already and get working on the second one. You know, we're 6 minutes into the game. 2 towers are down. This looks like solo queue. This literally looks like what happens when you don't find a way to shut down the Saw. And, you know, I'm not trying to be mean about that, but, like, this is how powerful a Saw can be when he's able to just push up within the lane and get, you know, all of that pressure. Normally when you see a Saw in solo queue, you rally the troops to be able to kill him off early, shut him down, you know, fairly soon. Side of Hollywood Hammers, they look to want to do that, but this Churnwalker just was this imposing presence on them, and they've been completely shut down.
It's a little bit like a Lyra how it works. It's so hard for actually anybody to get on top of Hammy because those chains are just dissing out massive damage when he connects 2 of them. And then Hammy just not only rips through one person, he's ripped through multiple people because everybody's falling like paper right now. This is an incredible showing from Rogue already. I've already taken the gold miner as well. There's a 6,000 gold lead at 6 minutes and 50 seconds in the game. Going up, we'll call it 7 minutes. That's almost 1,000 gold a minute for Rogue. Now, it is still early days, and Hammers, they have got a lot of engage potential with this Petal and with this Lance, so we can't quite count them out just yet. But the way Rogue are going, taking these global objectives like this underneath the noses of Hammers, they really want to make sure everybody knows who's the kings of North America.
Yeah, the problem for Hammers, though, is, okay, that was a good impale by Chicken, but he's got to land that with all of the rest of the damage coming through from the team, and Status can't be at, you know, a quarter health. They need to be able to set that up cleanly, and that gets difficult because you've got that Churnwalker. If 2 chains land, then Hammy is going to be dishing out all of his damage onto multiple targets. The moment that happens, Saw goes from just being that, you know, okay, he's focusing one person and we need to, you know, deal with him before he kills them. It's no, he's killing multiple targets, and now we're past that level 6 moment. There's a decent engagement. Maybe they can find him.
Trespasser's going to come through as well, and that's going to be a big root and a stun onto Status, and he's already dead. That minion candied wave, they just couldn't deal with it, and starting all over. That one tick will be enough. Hammy gets the double kill yet again for the 2nd time in the game. They're going to break the base open just over 8 minutes. Rogue, they're coming up big and showing what Saw can do.
Spin up, shoot down, you know, shoot down Status, and look at starting all over, rinse and repeat.
Saw push turret.
Strategy. Yeah.
Saw push turret. They've got it down to an absolute T. You open their notebooks, all it says is pick Saw, push turret, win game. That is what Rogue's game plan is right now, and they're proving to us just how it is so effective. Double monocle, by the way, at 9 minutes in the game.
9 minutes, 8 minutes, 40 seconds. I wouldn't even say that that's 9 minutes. That's 9 minutes. That is how far Rogue have pushed this composition so fast and just so cleanly. There's been very little time where I've been worried about Hammy, with the exception of that one dive, and they got plenty of damage down. It looked like Status might have been able to help them finish him off, but there wasn't enough damage. It's just like Hammy's too far ahead in terms of damage. Now he'll build into, you know, a little bit of defense. Maybe he doesn't even build a second defensive item. Is he really worried about starting all over? The last 2 times starting all over got in his face. He finished them off with a suppressing fire.
Oh man, and he's not even CP Saw. Feels bad. Rogue, they're going to be able to push up this wave, no problem. As long as Evo's in the front line and he does have Trespass up, they've got a lot of abilities to use. They just need to be able to make this crucial engagement yet again. But we'll just wait for Hammers. Hammers, they cannot engage on a Rogue that's looking like this right now. Double impale from Chicken. There's the Githian wall and the Crucible is pot from Rogue. Status tried to find his way in. That on point did really start to hurt Hammy. Although there you go, another one. A Rose offensive into an on point and actually took him down. Hammy finds his first death, but can they follow up with anything else? Sibs is very tanky. Chicken takes a couple of turret hits and a beautiful trespass onto 3 people, and they end up trading 2 for 2, a 2 for 1 for the time being. Starting all over in Status, still underneath that turret. They end up backing off for the time.
Yeah. Side of Hollywood Hammer showing signs of life. Status got a lot of good free poke in there, and that is probably the only deficiency in Hammy's position. Oh, wait. What? Churnwalker getting solo kills?
That's Churnwalker, baby. Those chains.
No, Churnwalkers don't get solo kills.
Oh, yes. Starting all over 0-4, and Churnwalker's like, yeah, sure, why not? 1v1 me, bro.
Oh, man. Okay, so Churnwalker puts one up on the board. adds a point to the scoreboard for the side of Rogue, but Hammy doesn't have any lifesteal, so there is the potential for him to be poked out, but we just haven't seen it up until that point that Hollywood Hammers were going to be able to get that damage down. It would, it is now the overdriven on point from status, but he's had that for a while. So Hammers are getting a little bit more aggressive. They are not out of it. It just looks so bleak, assuming that Hammy can keep himself safe. He's now got the Aegis. He's got some of those defensive capabilities. Maybe he goes for another damage item just to kind of seal the deal and make it impossible for the members of Hollywood Hammers to survive his damage. I'm not sure what he builds next after this. I probably would pick up some defenses, but he might feel confident enough to take some additional damage.
How confident he really is. Status is the main problem here, you got to say. Those on points are really starting to rack up here, although Trespass is going to come through. Oh my god, that was so beautiful. Valkyrie came through at the same time. Double layering of CC. That's going to be a beautiful route onto Chicken. He's going to fall as well. That's an ace for Rogue. Is this the quickest game we've seen today? I think it might just be. They want to end this game in 12 minutes flat here, Source. They're going to take the Vein Crystal, and it's going to fall. Rogue take game number 1 in exactly 12 minutes. What did we just witness?
We watched the Saw push turret. That was the basis of how this went for Rogue. I wasn't expecting the Saw Churnwalker to be that oppressive in the early game. I think it was probably, a minor misstep from starting the lover to be killed by the suppressing fire twice. The first time, was definitely, it looked like he was out of it and it was just one extra tick. But that sets Hammy ahead. He gains the gold advantage, he gains the minion advantage, he gains the kill advantage, and just puts everybody on his back.
I think I saw a 13-minute game in EU earlier today. That has just been smashed. 12 minutes. That crystal exploded. Hammy was 7-1. I don't know what the left of this game there is to break down, but we're going to throw it over to the desk anyway. Munch, take it away.
Hammy certainly loves to push that turret on Saw. Fantastic stuff. It's such a quick game coming out as well. I mean, I saw them winning these team fights. So I thought, we've still got another 5 minutes or so, but it seemed like incrementally they were just pushing further and further, and nothing seems to be able to stop that.
This is what Saw does. Saw push turret. It is a fact of life. And what a performance from Rogue in this final. Absolutely incredible stuff on this game.
I mean, they did lose one team fight, or they lost a few kills in one team fight, but at the end of the day, it was complete dominance coming from Rogue throughout this game. They pushed the early game like they needed to, and they snowballed almost perfectly.
Fantastic stuff coming out from them. We've got a couple of double kills lined up for you guys to take another look at. One happening about 5 minutes into the game, and then another one following shortly afterwards. And this is just phenomenal play coming out from Rogue.
Yeah, and we're speeding it up, speeding up for a little bit there, because I think we were just going to show. I thought we were just going to show the entire game, just sped it up, and it would fit into one replay segment because it was that quick. How fast they were able to just shove these turrets and forcing members of Hammers away from the turret and pushing the turrets down, and then Hammers realizing if we just let them keep doing this, they're just going to destroy all of our turrets. We have to try and do something. But by the time they made the decision to engage, it was already too late. There was too much damage coming out from the side of Rogue for them to really be able to contest this.
And I love the Churnwalker pick there. I mean, so far we've seen it played against Churnwalker more than we've seen it combined, or against the Saw more than combined with the Saw. But this game, we did see exactly that, and it works so well. When you hook and chain a person and then you torment them closer to the Saw, that just gives Saw so much opportunity to deal the damage. And Evil, the way he was doing it, he was using Torment, that trespassing, stunning people right in front of Saw, allowing him to finish the kills.
Yeah, even if you need to wind up with Suppressive Fire, you can still dish out a lot of damage during that time, and it gives you that time to wind up and to get things rolling. We could take a look at the next replay as well. So unsurprisingly, it's another replay of Rogue winning a fight.
Yeah, I mean, do we have any other replays? There was one fight, like Zoro said, where they didn't decisively.
This was that fight. I'm totally wrong.
It is the one fight they were able to get. They got onto Saw and were able to take Hammy down very, very quickly because Churnwalker wasn't able to get those chains set up. Every single time when Churnwalker got the hook and chains onto enemy targets before the engage happened, Rogue just rolled over the fights.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at what happened at the end of this game as well. As I think you guys already know, it was Hammy on this sword just rocking through these turrets and through the health bars.
We see it perfectly there. The chains and hooks hitting first, then using Torment, Evol, and then using the Trespass, stunning both Blackfeather and Petal right in front of Saw, allowing him to finish the kills, and then landing to managing to land another chain to bring back Lance closer to Saw to finish the complete ace. Such beautiful Chainswalker play from Evil.
The greatest thing about that replay was the Valkyrie was going to be right on top of their heads, but they were already dead before it even landed. It would have gotten a triple stun if they hadn't already been waiting to respawn. So absolutely incredible stuff out of Rogue.
Now, I've been told by production that this is a pretty amusing damage done chart, so I'm excited to see what this one is going to look like coming onto your screens now. Oh my goodness, 23k for Hammy. That's not that much, but when you've only been playing for 11 minutes and you're basically double anyone else here, that's all you need coming into those games.
It's more impressive to me that Petal did only just above 5,000 damage for the entirety of the game, and that's what we talked about. Both Petal and Blackfeather take time to ramp up in that lane roll, and neither of them should be able to against the composition that can push so hard coming from Rogue.
He had more damage than all three of the opponents put together in that game.
And another takeaway, that was one of them. The other takeaway is how much damage Chainswalker was able to dish out with those hooks and the chains. Like, it's absolutely crazy. He did more damage than both Petal and the opposing captain combined. Almost had as much damage as the opposing jungler. So really great stuff out of Rogue. And there is one other very cool little fun fact about this series as a whole. And we were told this by production, didn't quite believe it, so we did some research and found out the number was even more impressive than what we had originally been told. It has been over a year since we have had a finals in the week of Vainglory8 play that has not had either Team Solo Mid or Cloud9 competing in the finals. Over a year of Vainglory play since we've had this happen.
It's ridiculous. And honestly, this is one of the fastest finals games we've had ever as well. 12 minutes to start this one off. Let's get on into the draft, though. We've got to keep going with this series. Are we expected... Oh, immediately.
Yes,
banned off the board.
Ban.
Hammer's not having any of it.
Another thing to add to the that very fun, interesting fact before we get into the draft, those organizations have been in Vainglory for a little bit over 1.5 years, so their dominance has been for the majority of the time they've been in the Vainglory scene. Very, very interesting and very amazing to their names. But Hammers on Rogue are the organizations playing here in this finals. Tell me about this Blackfeather ban or pick.
You're doing Joe's job now. But, I mean, for all we know, it could be even a longer streak than that. We just didn't have enough time to look even further back. But the Blackfeather Rona ban again by Hammers, just making sure that Rogue cannot run this brawl style. They can't bring this fight into that brawling format, but they didn't need it in game number one. And it's a little bit strange that they banned it on A side, because I really don't feel like the Rona is a necessary ban for A side, because you already know two of your opponent's members. You know if they're going to be trying to run that brawl style or not, and you can take the Rona yourself. And like I mentioned last game, Rona pick as your second pick on B side is extremely risky.
Indeed. What is still open is the Kestrel, however, and that could be a very strong pick for Rogue. Even though they are going up against a Blackfeather, Kestrel can work very well because she can use her trap, use her invisibility to kite away the Blackfeather and try to burst him down with her. Very strong damage coming out in the late game with a few crit items.
Absolutely. We'll see where they do go with this one. 15 seconds on this pick remaining. They've got to make a decision soon. It is going to be the Kestrel in the end locked in there for Hammy. And we've seen him do some serious work on that pick. But this Blackfeather versus Kestrel matchup, definitely an interesting matchup to watch out for. We've seen it quite a few times across the course of today.
Yeah, it's a matchup that can really kind of swing either way depending on what the junglers bring to the table. I think is honestly the most influential part of that matchup, because the jungle ganks can be so impactful when you have a Blackfeather and a Kestrel, because especially pre-6, there's neither of these two have really any form of escape.
I wonder if Chainswalker is going to be picked up here from Hammers. I wouldn't expect it, because Lance would be a higher priority, or something even like the Catherine Batiste with the Blackfeather could come out. But just because they saw how strong it was late game, it would be funny to see Hammers pick it up here and try to adapt to that draft. However, the Alpha pick does come in first, and that's a very strong jungler. Honestly, we keep talking about it, and it's a little too strong in 2.9 perhaps. Teams landing it through, it can backfire terribly.
Honestly, it feels like it flew under the radar a little bit coming into this series, and we didn't really see it much last series either, but definitely something that Status is more than willing to take on into that jungle, and I'm curious to see what the answer will be for Rogue coming into this one, but also what this final pickup for Hammers will be.
And there's definitely, again, Lance I think feels like a very popular pick right now, but they're going to go with the Cloud9 counter and pick up the Fortress for Chicken. Once again, they liked it in their matchup against Cloud9. We'll see if Rogue is going to be able to deal with this pick.
I like the Fortress pickup here just because against the Kestrel, I talked about it in the serious matchup. When you use your Fortress Wolves, the ultimate, you manage to block a lot of her damage because the Glimmer shots do hit those Wolves instead of your carries, and that is a great counterplay into the Kestrel.
Certainly can be, and that's going to be a Batiste to round out this draft. So very much a ranged composition going up into this melee cleave coming out from the Hammers. I'm curious to see this, because this looks like Hammers are going to have to play incredibly aggressive here.
And I do like the Batiste pick into the Alpha because you can use your Ordain to try and stop a Prime Directive. You can use the Fearsome Shade to try and knock her away once she starts the Termination Protocol. So there's a lot of tools that they now have to try and deal with this Alpha. We haven't seen any team really be able to deal with Alpha super effectively. This could be the answer.
Another thing that we haven't seen too many of is actually the Batiste against the Alpha, because when Alpha was very heavily involved in the meta before, Batiste had not come out as a hero. So now that he's available, I actually agree with you. I think he's a great counterplay. And despite Hammers having Blackfeather and Alpha, I'm leaning towards Rogue in this draft just because of how that Batiste is going to be able to counter the initiations coming from Hammers.
Also, a lot of disengage just from the clockwork alone, being able to reduce the cooldowns, incredibly important for that Batiste. I mean, I'm basically a Batiste one-trick, so I'm biased on that one. But talk to me about how you feel this game is going to go across the course of this one. How long are we expecting this game to be here?
I mean, it could be we could be in for a pretty long one, because I feel like the early game is going to go fairly heavily towards the Alpha, but then once we get to the mid to late game, this Batiste and the rest of the crew could turn it around.
All right, we'll see if that's going to be the case. It's time to jump into Game 2 of our finals. Hashtag Vainglory8 on Twitter. Let us know who you are supporting. It's time to pass it back over to our casters and get on into Game 2.
Thank you very much, guys. Jaws and the Source, we're back once again. Game number 2. Hammers on the blue side, Cloud9 over on the red this time around. Not sure it's going to be as quick as the last one, Source, but it's going to be a bloodbath. We've got an Alpha on the field, but we got Batiste for the first time this evening.
Yeah, and you know, the Alpha is powerful. The Batiste will be able to counter her out, but we've still got a Blackfeather. Blackfeather was kind of shut down in the last game. Didn't really get to do his job, but there is no saw to push turret, and starting all over, he got locked up a lot. If the side of Rogue had been there a little bit sooner, that could have been devastating for the side of Hammers, and now they're ready for this jungle invade. They know how weak starting all over is. They should be able to steal away this Treant.
He is extremely low right now. They're not sure who that actually went over to. It did go over to actually Status in the end, so Hammers at least secure the front camp of their jungle. That does mean they get priority in the lane, as Hammy and Evil are going to make his way. They're going to make their way there.
Yeah, and so now it's a question between how well will Hammy play on this weapon power Kestrel. Will he be able to be that overwhelming poking force, or is the side of Hollywood Hammers going to be able to successfully engage on them? Because they've got a lot of the tools. They've got a great diving composition. They can chase past the initial dive with Chicken on the Fortress, which we're now seeing, being played out a little bit more in this week. There are a couple of other factors that the side of Hammers are going to have to worry about just in terms of the Batiste, but they still have plenty of potential to be able to just hard dive this game and bring back the reverse sweeps, which is been very useful for them in terms of being able to clutch these games out up against these what would be higher seeded opponents.
And we both kind of put it on them that these teams want to make a name for themselves. Rogue especially. They're sitting at 3rd seed right now against TSM and Cloud9, who haven't been in a final for, what was it, a year or something, Tasty said? That is an insane stat for TSM and Cloud9 not to be in a final for. That's incredible. And Rogue and Hammers right now, they're surely making a show of it. Hammy is going to be able to just get pushed back a little bit, starting just Status even and starting just pushing up the lane quite aggressively. this melee versus the range. It's an 8-old matchup. But right now, Hammy's going to have the advantage. But as soon as Starling starts to come online, this Black Feather, he's going to have a hell of a time kiting back.
Yeah, and in terms of these teams, Hammers are upstarts challenging Kings and Rogue, but Rogue, they're trying to challenge gods. If they manage to win out this week, they will basically be, they're ready to ascend and to challenge TSM for that final spot as the weeks continue. Whereas this is a pretty big momentum moment for Hollywood Hammers. Losing this here, yes, they can definitely be proud of how well they've played, but they need to be racking up the wins back to back if they want to be able to contest for that world spot. They've got a great team here, and they'll definitely be able to do well going into next year. But the season's not over yet. You don't want to sell yourself short. You want to go for the gold and try and make it to the top. So this is a very important series for them, and they are now a little bit behind the 8 ball with how Rogue played in that last game.
Yeah, a little bit shook up, you could say. That's exactly how I'd be feeling after if I had a 12-minute game and it was a defeat. Evo and Hammy going fairly aggressive as Chicken is starting all over, do try and dive them, but Status will be here as well. But active camo from Hammy will help him in the laning phase at least, just to avoid and subvert a lot of that damage and pressure. Now, where is Sibs going to want to intervene here? Because he hasn't really been up to the lane whatsoever. More often than not right now, he's just farming up, waiting to that level 6 mark when that first Shea comes online. And then it looks like he wants to go for an engage. But moving up towards the lane now, stopping Chicken's back could be quite important. He's half HP, and Hammy's got a way to push him.
Yeah, to be honest, this Rogue, they don't need to over-aggress. They can now value off of their turret pushing, get the value off of having that Kestrel here in the lane. Massive damage on the starting all over. They didn't have anything to follow up on the Ordained and abuse him when he was kind of stuck in that position, but they have gotten this turret onto half, and we still haven't seen Status show up until now.
Well, Prime directed over the wall. Now he's in the game. Alrighty, he's been farming up a Storm as well, only just a little bit ahead of Sibs at the current moment in time. Rogue are now getting forced back to their turret with Hammy very little energy right now. This could spell a little bit disaster in all honesty. Won't have those glimmer shots, we'll have those basic attacks however. Pops the boost and the flask to get away from the dive that come through from Hammers. They take a few too many turret shots and end up backing off.
That's an auspicious dive for the side of Hammers if they actually managed to secure that, but I think it might have been a little bit too much. Fearsome Shade is out!
Ordained, a massive Ordain into the Fearsome Shade. Glimmer shots are raining through and Sibs manages to find first blood for Rogue. They're going to push on, starting all over in Status. Another Ordain will be available in a couple of seconds. They're going to find Status, jump straight into the Termination Protocol. He's going to get the Infinite Reboot off, but it's actually just cut up where he stands. That's going to be 2 kills on the board. Both of them go to the jungler of Rogue.
And Rogue are basically saying with their play, you may have made it up here to the adults table. This is the big leagues, and you're not ready for it. And so far, Hammers have been shut down in all of their aggressive attempts. It's not as if they're making significant mistakes, but every time they're stepping up, Rogue seem one step ahead of them and are ready to punish even the smallest bit of mispositioning. Now we've got Hammy. He's got his Sorrow Blade. He's deeper into that build, starting all over. Does have that Serpent's Mask, and I don't see Hammy picking up the Poison Shiv. So there will be that breaking point lifesteal stack up build for starting all over. He'll be able to get to that point, assuming the game goes long enough. But I don't know if he's going to be able to put enough pressure onto Hammy, at least from what we've seen.
He's got all the protection in the world from Evil and Sibs. That Ordain is good at locking people down. Speaking about locking people down, it's always the funniest interaction when someone manages to dash through the Ordain and they end up halfway across the map stunned. Starting all over, taking a lot of damage from these Glimmer shots. Isn't able to dodge out of any of them, and that turret is going to take a whole lot of a beating. Although Status is moving in, he's going to find the Prime Directive straight onto Evo, but once again, just find massive damage. There comes the Gauntlet down. Status, they're all very low. There's a Fearsome Shade just ripples through the members of Hammers, and Status pops into the Infinite Reboot again, and he's going to get taken out. Can't quite dash to his turret in time. And in fact, that'll be Rogue taking the first turret as well.
And all of that back off the back of Hammy's poke. He got so much damage with those Glimmer shots, and now he's looking for starting. He wanted the energy to finish the job, or at least wants to pull back to back up the rest of his team as they take this gold miner, start to extend their lead. This isn't as drastic of massive lane control and winning at 7 minutes into the game. We were 5 minutes into the game and things looked very bleak for the side of Hammers, but they're going to need to calm down and look for that opportunity. They've got the attack of the pack up. They don't really want to pick these fights in the lane. They want to find something in rotation in the jungle. The opportunity is more than still there for them. They have plenty of damage. Kill Hammy, who has no defenses whatsoever. They just have to manage to secure it.
Looking at this time last game, Hammy was going towards his third item and we were about to actually break the base of Hammers. That's how fast that game was, and only just now have they've taken down that first tier 1 turret in the lane. Shallow Glass finish for Sibs. This is going to be a big power spike for him, as well as that clockwork, that cooldown. Now, Fearsome Shade is back online yet again, and I think it's only a matter of time now. Chicken has to decide here. Well, he doesn't have to decide. He needs a Crucible online in order to stop that massive AoE fear.
He also needs to find an opportunity. We're sitting with a Fortress who still has not used, you know, the attack of the pack to a significant degree. They haven't found that opening team fight that you look for when you get, you know, what is a fairly big team fight ultimate? Being able to reposition the entire team and get mortal wounds onto all of those targets and stop all of that healing. Dear God, starting all over is so low and is constantly being poked by Hammy. I feel as if Hammers are a little scared to actually go for that engagement.
No, Chicken looking to go in here. There's the Fearsome Shades. They're going to isolate his status. That was perfect. Prime Directive straight in. He's going to use that Termination Protocol, but the explosion doesn't hit any members of Rogue. The Gauntlet comes down. Starting all over, still surviving. That Stubborn's Mask was good, but the damage from Hammy was even better. The Core Charge does finish him off in the end. The stun does come through from the Ordained. Sibs is going to chase him up. Another bad mojo will finish off the kill. And Hammers, they're running like cowardly dogs. And now Chicken, the only member alive, is going to be able to get away in the end. Rogue are going to take some jungle with them as well, but that's another 2 kills on the board.
The moment I say that they're scared, they bare their fangs, but it's right into what is a brick wall, you could say, from the side of Rogue. Yes, they do manage to eventually take that Hammy, but that was an extended team fight, and it was very lucky that that Status managed to get off the Termination Protocol. It did show that starting all over can get off a lot of that damage. He can put pressure onto Hammy, so there is light at the end of the tunnel for the side of Hollywood Hammers, but now they need to make that a little bit cleaner. They came at Rogue from Vision. They did it, you know, in a very straightforward fashion. They fought up in the lane where it was very easy for them to see exactly where everybody was coming from. You know, they need to pick a fight where they're able to instantly jump onto Hammy and not have to go through, you know, the side of Rogue, being able to retreat a little bit of distance, because they got pretty far away before anybody from the side of Hollywood Hammers had actually managed to secure, you know, connect the engagement onto the side of Rogue.
Evo's did a good job as well of isolating the members of Hammers, and along with that Fearsome Shade, it makes them all make sure they actually just pile straight into the wall and all stun themselves. That age-old interaction with the Ordained as well is something to kind of keep in mind. Starting all over is gonna get Ordained. He's gonna have to back off rather sharpish. However, Chicken has got the Crucible online, so we are now looking at Status to actually bring this powerful alpha onto the field. She's got 1 item. She's working towards her second right now, but like you mentioned a second ago, she's able to get massive damage off, but time and time again, Rogue are just kind of walking away from the Termination Protocol and going, okay, it's not a problem, we'll just kite back and we'll just use Sibs and his ability to zone 1 target, and then we can just carry on the team fight from there.
Well, Sibs landed a double Fearsome Shade in that previous fight. He sent 2 of the members of Hollywood Hammers, you know, pretty far away. They were almost back in the jungle by the time the effect wore off. So Sibs is doing a fairly good job. You know, a little bit understated. We say that Hammy right now is kind of the key component in Rogue's composition, but Sibs did a very good job of setting that up and then, you know, had that finish off kill on the Status. So you have to be worried about how much value this Batiste is going to get with a composition that is just trying to kind of run at you, instant stun and starting all over.
Rogue, they activate the wall treads instantly. The Gauntlet comes down. They're going to actually stun up only the Alpha for the time being. The Ordained comes out for the double stun. Hammy's still wailing away with those glimmer shots. Prime Directive in. Hammy gets the Vanguard to safety. But look at the health bars coming through from Chicken and Status. They're going oh so low. That's a beautiful active camo stun, but it wasn't quite enough. There's going to be a massive Prime Directive onto the Batiste, and Sibs ends up falling as well. That will be Evo now running away from starting all over. Hammers, they found the fight they needed and take 2.
Yeah, and they got that off the re-engage. After the initial engagement, you know, they got zoned out a bit. They'd taken some damage. Status was actually the only one caught inside of the gauntlet, and then there wasn't really space for Hammy to be able to fire at him and bring him down. So he manages to get off a good termination protocol. The fight goes longer, I think, than Rogue would have liked, and Evil is got to get brought down, gets caught by Status with the Prime Directive, and now Hollywood Hammers, they're looking better in this game. The gold lead is starting to lessen, but oh my god, so much damage on the chicken.
Chicken almost falls, but they do end up getting the turret regardless. No one-shot, one-kill from Habby, unfortunately. You won't be able to snipe away the wolf. However, starting all over, moving forward, Fearsome Shade's going to come out and actually just kill him. There we go. The damage was there enough for Sibs, who finds it with the Fearsome Shade. Only on a 30-second cooldown as well, mind you, so he's going to be able to use that in the next engagement. Rogue, priority in the lane, are going to get damage down to this tier 2 turret. I say damage, actually Exhaust is just going to go down.
Yeah, I mean, and Sibs got that off of what was a blocked Fearsome Shade into a really well-timed Ordain. Like, I didn't realize the Ordain got him, but I was like, no, that's the only thing that could have taken that extra damage. So Sibs is, you know, on point. We're still, you know, I'm still talking about how valuable Hammy is to these fights, but Sibs is definitely starting to show up. Has the Shatter Glass, basically has a full mage build. Hasn't really built that much in terms of defenses. So beware those bad mojos.
As bad mojos are going to stack up, especially when he's full of them. That's Sibs. As soon as he gets stacked up, those bad mojos. I've seen some crazy numbers, though, so I'm sure you have as well. They do get quite scary, especially when you've got no or little to no shielding in your kit. And speaking of that, if you look at the defensive items coming out from Status right now, if he takes a bad mojo, he's going down very quickly. He's only got a light armor on board. That means he's a glass cannon at the moment. He has got Dragon's Eye, however, so he is starting to stack up in these team fights if he can last long enough.
Well, Sibs has got the broken myth. Starting all over needs to be careful as well in the middle of those team fights. And he can't really be wasting any of his reflex blocks on just raw damage coming from Sibs. He has to put it onto all of the crowd control. So Sibs has the potential to really turn some of these team fights if their focus onto Hammy is misplaced. If Sibs is able to get off enough additional crowd control, Hammy drops people to half before he dies, Sibs could easily be the one cleaning up the team fights.
15 minutes. The gong has been struck. The Kraken is awakened. Now with Rogue looking to enter this lane and Evo only just picking up the Echo. This could be go time for Rogue. They certainly want to try and fight Hammers, but right now just content with just satisfied at least with just getting a little bit of poke off. Now that's exactly what they need to do.
And Hammers, I assume they know that the Echo is there now, but there was kind of this window where they may not have known the Echo was there, nor would they have checked the items for the side of Rogue, and this could be the engagement.
Ordained comes out. There's the attack of the pack as well. They're actually just going to disengage with the War Treads for the time being. Starting all over was rotating down from the lanes. That probably sparked that disengagement. No big cooldowns yet apart from those War Treads been used, however. Hollywood Hammers, they're hiding in this brush right now. Ordained comes out. They're going to find the stun round, starting all over, and now Hammy has to kite back. Evo with the beautiful usage of the double gauntlet, leaving Hammy completely alone in the back line, but starting all over finds the jump on him with that Rose offensive, but now it's all up to Sibs, who ends up getting cut up as well. Hammers, they are starting these fights and they are finishing them with Evo going down as well. Hammers fighting the ace, the triple kill in fact for starting all over, and that Kraken is going to be there as well for them.
It was a good bit of opening and repositioning by Hammy, but starting all over found him. He had 17 stacks when that fight was over, which means he was sitting at about 15 plus throughout the fight. I didn't manage to check it in real time, and so he's doing massive damage. Hammy can't really survive that. You know, it is weapon power Kestrel. You're pretty much a glass cannon. You pick up the Aegis primarily for the reflex lock, and you know, you get a little bit of armor, you know, some shielding off of that, but really your job is to dish out damage and try and survive. And they've put a lot of pressure onto Hammy, forcing him to have to active camo into kind of an awkward position. It looked like he was going to be safe, but this is a Black Feather. He can reflex block through that double gauntlet and get himself, you know, out of the middle of that cage and onto the primary target. He was able to do that in the middle of that fight.
Rogue now. They are on the back foot, it seems, the first time in this series. Bone Saw and Infusion for Hammy now, so he is fully online. All items have been completed apart from upgrading that reflex block to an Aegis a little later on. Now Kraken is still marching down though, bearing on their base. They're going to have to deal with it rather sharpish. Remember, they have got a lot of damage with Sibs and Habby combined. They just have to fend off hammers for the time being. They're doing a good job of it thus far. Setting up an active camo trap just in case the turret dive does initiate. However, that turret will end up breaking as well. And here comes the attack of the pack just to make sure Rogue get out of there. In fact, they all run away, in fact, because that fearsome shade did hit all members of Hammers. It does leave Rogue not bleeding any casualties, but they do end up losing the base turret.
Yeah, not massive value for the side of Hollywood Hammers, but they are at least putting the pressure onto the side of Rogue. They're doing a good job of keeping up a good pace and not really allowing Rogue to set up onto their side of the map and any kind of siege going, because there's very significant poke for the side of Rogue between Sibs and Hammy. Sibs is starting to build in some of those defenses, has decided he doesn't need that much shielding. Looks like he's going to be building the Crucible for his side, and this is actually something we've been seeing. Setting the Crucible onto another member allows for some of these captains to pick up that Echo much sooner.
I mean, makes a lot of sense in that regard. That way you can be there to protect yourself and your carries rather than having Evo, having all the buttons in the world, trying to click Fountain, trying to click Aegis, you're trying to click literally everything, including the Echo plus your Gauntlet. Just get a little bit more of a weight off of his mind as well, I can imagine. And with that, I mean, Sibs is going to have to, I can imagine, probably subvert a lot of the damage from status. That's probably what he's going to be aiming for there. One shot, one kill will come through. No wave Gauntlet, by the way, finished from Evol here. So deleting some of those items. As an Echo has been finished from Chicken, by the way.
Yeah, I actually like this adaptation. If you put the Gauntlet onto another member of the team, one, your captain doesn't have to play, in this case it'd be Piano Arden, where he's not hitting a million buttons to be able to make the play happen. But it opens up for this adaptation of, he's got Echo and No Wave Gauntlet. Echo has become very common, but No Wave Gauntlet seems very, it's very situational. It doesn't seem like a lot of people pick that up. Now you consider, okay, I have a No Wave Gauntlet. I'm going to shut down Chicken, which means no double attack of the pack, which means no War Treads coming out from him. His Crucible doesn't get any value. Sibs starts to, get more crowd control in. There's a lot of possibilities when you kind of deviate some of these item pickups onto other members of the team. And right now, Sibs feels confident enough that the Alpha isn't doing enough damage to him that he can survive without picking up any shield.
Does give him a little bit of extra defenses. Gives him a bit of extra health, which is always the primary defensive tool. Oh, hang on a second. Attack of the Pack gets opened up. That's going to get feared away by that fearsome shade. War Treads as well from Rogue, just to get out of that situation. Echo you saw on the Attack of the Pack even. So double set of wolves running after Rogue right now. Does leave Hammers with a little opening to start this Kraken up. However, Rogue are in hot pursuit. And in fact, Hammers, they're going to stop that for the moment and just decide to back off.
Yeah, and the No Wave Gauntlet was used there, so I assume that was thrown onto Chicken and stopped him from being able to instantly double attack the pack or pop the War Tread so they could continue in the chase. Now we see Rogue starting this up. They could do it very quickly if the side of Hammers isn't aware. They are moving into this middle area, and we could easily see a steal here. This is dangerous.
Look at those bad mojos, though. They are hurting the Kraken. Ordain comes out and starting all over. Does get stunned up. There's the Prime Directive onto 3 people, not doing too much damage, and the dog is already feared away. The Gauntlet does come down there. Termination Protocol is going to get unleashed, and Hammy's already dead, and now it's all up to Sibs. Another huge Gauntlet will separate the rest of the team, but Sibs is already going really low. Another Prime Directive on the back line, and that'll be a nice core charge to finish off the kill. Hollywood Hammers, I think they might have done it. An ace in 21 minutes, and they're just going to walk down the pace.
So much damage comes out from starting all over. He has had a great game, and just these endless Black Feather picks. Sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't, but it's just such a risk. And so much pressure gets put onto Hammy, despite him being able to active camo, being able to juke away and stay alive for a while. Status is in the middle of the team. The Termination Protocol is there, and Hammers will take this to a game 3. They are not out of it yet. They tell Rogue that they will not go quietly into the night.
The whole day has been going to game number 3s. In North America, they've started to wake up. And right now is Rogue and Hammers battling for that trophy this weekend. This has been such a series. We've had the shortest game ever, it feels like, into a game that was so back and forwards. this next one is truly going to be a showing.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where the draft is evolving. Maybe they go back to that Churn Walker. I don't think we see Saw go through. But let's send it back over to Mudgewell and the boys at the desk to break this one down.
An absolutely magical comeback from the side of Hammers. Apparently the casters is still on and a little bit surprised by the situation. I am Harry Munchables Potter, and I'm going to be joined as ever by a tasty piece of bacon and the Iraqi Zorro himself.
The Iraqi Zorro.
The Iraqi Zorro. Talk to me about that game, because that started off strong for Rogue, but Hammers managed to come back in the late game.
Yeah, absolutely incredible play by Hammers to have the wherewithal to stay focused and turn this game back around and pick up the victory. It was really, really incredible stuff. I mean, it was just, you felt like it was going to go completely in favor of Rogue from the way that game started. And it was so easy for the side of Hammers to really just get down about it. But they stayed focused, they got their win conditions, and they were able to find the victory.
Indeed, I mean, the Black Feather Alpha, we talk about it all the time. It becomes such a strong late game composition just because of Alpha having multiple lives to come back and just be that tanky frontline, while Black Feather's execution damage scales so incredibly well. The Baptiste Kestrel, I anticipated it to play better into the Black Feather Alpha, but it was the fact that Rogue weren't able to execute on it just good enough to be able to win that game.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at our first replay. This was a magical double kill coming out for Rogue right at the start of the game.
Yeah, and right away, they were just bringing the heat onto the members of Hammers, just trying to fry them on up and get themselves this early lead, because they knew an alpha early on. If you can manage to beat an alpha early, that is one of the big win conditions for an alpha. And so they were really focusing on trying to shut down this jungle.
Yeah, and Rogue may have had a demented early game right there, but Hammers managed to bring their Patronus into this one in this next replay, as they managed to win a team fight for themselves and come on through into this game.
Indeed, I mean, we're gonna watch this team fight. The gauntlets dropped down were really well by Evil, and that's what allowed them to do well at the beginning of the team fight. But then the strength of Blackfeather and the survivability that comes from an alpha on top of the Fortress Wolves that allow that mortal wound to stack and allow the execution damage that does also health percentage. So the composition of Hollywood Hammers just plays perfectly in 2.9, and despite Kestron and Baptiste trying to do their best, it wasn't enough again.
Yeah, it certainly was not enough on that one. Hammers managed to pull themselves back on into this series. We could take a look at the final replay. That was Hammers managing to end things out and taking a serious lead in this one. And not just taking a lead, taking a Vein Crystal for themselves as well. So fantastic stuff coming out from Hammers. We could take a look at that final replay now for you guys. And just break this one down for me, because it felt like Rogue had such a good composition.
It was a great start to the fight, but you see the Termination Protocol just gets so much damage done. And the Gauntlet, it does a great job. Sib's trying to escape, but he just kind of gets out of the frying pan and into the fire as the Alpha comes back on through with the Prime Directive to shut them down and close the door on this series, cooking them up nice.
Cooking them up just nice. And the Alpha, I mean, I was hoping the Baptiste would be able to disengage from the Fortress engages that were coming, the Fortress engages that were coming through on the side of Hollywood Hammers, but the Baptiste wasn't enough, and the Ardent Gauntlets weren't enough either. The Kestrel ended up falling in that team fight, and that's when Rogue just lose the game. If Kestrel falls down, it's the end of the team fight for them.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at the damage done during that game as well. Who was stupefied and who was stupefying? It was Sibs right at the top of the damage chart, as well as Hammy. Often, we usually see the carries topping that one, but Sibs, with those bad mojos, doing a huge amount of damage across the course of the game.
Yeah, but this is the same thing that we've talked about before, where those AoE damage abilities can really kind of inflate these numbers, even though they aren't necessarily getting the damage onto the targets that it needs to be dealing it to. You know, doing 1,000 damage to a Kestrel versus doing 1,000 damage to a Fortress are two very, very different things. And so even though the numbers were there, unfortunately for the side of Rogue, they weren't able to get the kills that they needed when it mattered the most.
Absolutely. We need to start to talk about the next draft in this series as well, because we are going to a Game 3 final. The first final this year that we've seen without either TSM or Cloud9, and we are going for the full duration here. What are we expected to see here?
Well, I was going to say I expect to see a Saw ban, but Saw's going to come through for Rogue, first picking it, no less. So really putting their faith in this hero selection.
They're really putting their faith into it, but not only that, Hammers now have the ability to pick an entire composition that works well against Saw. What they're going to end up picking and banning is going to be so crucial to winning that game, and honestly, it's just in their hands now. They know they're going up against the Saw. If they're able to get a draft that works for them, they'll probably win the game.
All right, so Black Feather is an option that they could go for. They have the Arden available as well if they want to try and focus on the captain role. That is what Hammers are going to do. Getting Chicken onto this Arden pickup, very, very tanky. You know, a lot of health can be one of the ways to really deal with this Saw and just say, you know what? You can have a ton of damage, but you have to be in combat for so long if you're going to manage to take us down.
It's going to be Lyra taken off the board there. I can just hear Hamza giggling away over there. Lyra and Arden both taken off the board now. Hammer's already got their support locked in, their captain. It's going to be Celeste taken off the board. Not something that you typically expect to be banned.
I mean, you wouldn't expect it to be a ban, but it makes a lot of sense in this draft just because it works really well against the Saw. Honestly, it's one of the best picks probably that you can choose against them right now in 2.9. Another great pick would be the Scarf, something I know we haven't seen too much of in 2.9, but those mages that have very long range and have very good wave clear, those are the things that work very well against Saw. Another thing that I want to touch on, the reason why Saw is working really well in 2.9 is because, like we mentioned before, the wave clear is a lot weaker in 2.9. It was the damage for wave clear on most heroes was reduced.
Oh, Churnwalker and Alpha Rogue. I think Rogue just won this game flat out, regardless of what this final pick is, because Saw Churnwalker Alpha is a devastating combo. You can wait for those hooks to connect and then go in with the Prime Directive. Saw's going to be spun up. As we've already seen Rogue be able to play with the Churnwalker and Saw combo, pulling people in towards the Saw and then using the Trespass to lock them down in position. You throw Alpha's CP damage on top of that, and it's going to be insane. Hammers choosing to take this Kashka for status. It feels like almost a desperation pick just to try and guarantee themselves that early game win. That's the only way I see a chance for Hammers to win this game, is if they decimate this Churnwalker Alpha early on.
Indeed, I gotta say though, I'm not very impressed with their draft. They knew they were going up against the Saw. They had all 3 picks available for them at that point since it was first pick. To draft a composition that works well against the Saw, they do go for aggressive early game with the Kashka. However, the Black Feather in the lane is still gonna have a weak early game against it, so I'm not too impressed with their draft. Rogue definitely seems to be the stronger team coming into this game.
This is definitely going to be a messy game, whichever direction this goes, and we're going to see a lot of action to kick things off right here. Who's going to be on the front foot? Do we think that they can take down this Saw?
I think they're going to be having a very difficult time to do that, and Hammy, my brethren in Porcine, I think is going to be able to take this one.
We'll have to see if they're going to be able to. It's time to cast you guys over to the game. Hashtag Vainglory8. Let us know who you think is going to take the final game of this week's Vainglory8. I'm going to pass you over to the casters and get this one underway.
What even just happened?
I don't know.
We were gone for 20 minutes and they turned into... I feel underdressed now. Also, that orange with the little pumpkin smiley face, true MVP, by the way.
Well, Halloween is around the corner, so we can't blame the boys on the desk for getting creative, getting into the holiday spirit, but we've got one last game here between Rogue and Hollywood Hammers, and Rogue have gotten something that I didn't think they would get again, ever. Like, not even just in this series. I didn't think anybody would forget how devastating that game would be. Maybe somebody would let them have the Saw plus the Churnwalker and see if they could test the limits, but not much more after that. And now, do we see another groundbreaking game? Does the game end in 11 minutes and not 12?
Well, whatever you could say, this game and this night has been pretty entertaining. The hooks are pretty good. Prime Directive onto 2, though. Status already going really low. Evo trying to chase up, try and get the dot damage. He ends up picking up first blood. Rogue Fine 1, starting all over, running away as well. Sibs is going to have another word to say about that, though. Hammy comes in with the roadie run, but another Prime Directive over the wall with a core charge will finish him off. Rogue off to a flying start with 2 kills.
So earlier, Munchables was talking about how he is a Batiste one-trick. I've kind of been becoming a Churnwalker one-trick because you can do that. You can take early jungle fights. You can speed up how fast the jungle clear is. You can pressure things in the lane. Right now, it feels like Churnwalker can kind of do everything. And the fact that they got both, I think the moment the Saw came through, you had to ban the Churnwalker away. But it's difficult. There are so many other priority bans. There are so many other dangerous things. And Rogue have gotten themselves a powerful composition 2 assists on the Hammy, so not the 2 kills, but the kills went on the Sibs. He's going to have that aftershock very soon. We've seen what happens when an alpha gets ahead. He might even be coming for the steal. Ooh. Status got it with that twirly death, but that was close.
Yeah, Status did secure it, but starting all over, having a little bit of problem, with Hammy up in that lane. He's just going to be able to take him out, in fact. And Sibs is actually chasing away Status. He's trying to find him, twirly death, but Hammy is going to use that roadie run. Oh, that was close. Not where you wanted to go. Straight back into the alpha. Sibs finds his third.
It's a dangerous proposition fighting the Alpha. It's more dangerous fighting the Saw. They have all of the components they need. Rogue are about to take a 2 minute 50 second turret. Is this the beginning of the end? It feels like the beginning of the end.
It feels like game number 1 all over again. Do not give Hammy Saw, Hammy push turret, and Rogue win. Hammers, they're going to have to come up with something special here. I mean, they got to use the Koshka to her full potential. Otherwise, it looks like a pretty rough game ahead of them.
They have the potential dive. They have the potential damage. They could kill Hammy. And he's not as far ahead as he was before. After his first back, he instantly backed and had the Sorrow Blade. There is more than enough potential for the side of Rogue to... more than enough potential for the side of Hammers to finish him off quickly. But we could just see Evol completely protect him. We could see Sibs get deep into the backline. Already has the after. Doesn't have any boots. Can't really super chase. But if you let him get into range, he's going to do massive damage. And this is a difficult position for Hammers to be in, because it means they need to execute back-to-back picks and back-to-back skirmishes and team fights without losing anybody. Because if any more power goes over to Hammy, he's going to reach that unkillable cyborg status.
Well, thank God for Hammers right now, because Hammy isn't 3-0 like he was before. It's all good. It's only Sibs that's 3-0 now. Rogue still off to a good start, and Hammy, if anybody gets dragged towards him like Status does, the twirly death, that's actually going to finish him off the kill. Blood for Blood takes him out, but Sibs popping in that infinite reboot. Will he be able to get back up alive? No, he will not. Rogue, their game plan not quite working out for them. Evil desperately trying to slay the kitty cat, but it's not going to happen. They find the delayed ace. Hammy only just spawned, but Hammers, they're not out of it just yet.
Yeah, that's step 1. They got a full team fight, a full team wipe, even though it was delayed, losing anyone. Now do it again, and then maybe do it 2 more times, and then I'll say that you're out of the woods, because Koshka didn't, find super early kills or, a little ways into this game. She's still got the potential to get massive value off that first Yummy Catnip Frenzy. That ultimate, allows for you to open things up. So second that comes in, there could be potential for Hammers to win another team fight. Evol is only level 3. He's a little bit further behind. He'll cap over to 4 fairly quickly, and Sibs will have his Termination Protocol. There are enough tools in the belt of Hollywood Hammers to be able to bring this back, but they cannot falter. One mistake means that Hammy could start to get out of control.
Well, Hammy's got that Sora Blade online, which is quite thankful, because by this time he almost had a monocle in game number 1. But Sibs has got the Aftershock now. With Evil almost breaching the level 6, I'm kind of worried that starting all over in Status, they're not going to have the same impact late game, or at least Status won't. Starting all over, he will when he gets his items on board. Is this going to be another round? Is this round 2 of game number 1? Is Hammy just going to be able to continually push these? Right now, Chicken breaching that level 5, maybe not the case, because Hammy's survivability is going to be pretty slim trapped inside a gauntlet.
Well, he's already gotten himself the reflex block. Like, that's step 1 for Hammy to be able to survive. I don't think it's going to be as bad as game 1, but the potential is still there for a Saw to go off. Saw is an immobile character who you can shut down if you're well coordinated. That's totally within the abilities of Hammers. But they have already gotten the Saw advantage. They've got the first turret, they've put out some additional pressure, they've got plenty of capability to win team fights and be able to cut off rotations with Evil and with Sibs. Like, there is more than enough ability for the side of Rogue to win this. They just need to set things up properly. Hammers on the other side, they need to play chaotic team fights. They need to find value and dive on Hammy like this.
Speaking about chaotic teamfight, Yoni Candy Frenzy is going to get blocked. Gauntlet comes down as well, and that's going to stun up Hammy. Hammy goes down, not before trading 1 for 1. And now it's Evo Sibs versus Starting All Over Chicky in the 2v2. Starting All Over still regenerating a lot of HP from that Serpent's Mask, but Sibs has got the damage. He's got the Prime Directive and Termination Protocol if he needs it. Pops into that Infinite Reboot, but Evo's going to chase him down. The dot damage not quite there. The shielding came out just in time, but he manages to find the kill with the Torment in the end. Status is only just spawning, however, and with Hammy making his way up the lane, they still got to be careful. Status jumps on top of Sibs. That Vanguard's going to be pretty big if he needs to use it, but Sibs is going to chase him. Prime Directive does not quite land, and now Chicken is on the run, but a Vanguard will save him.
Yeah, Chicken should be fine there, but that was a much more even team fight, and the kind of fight that Hammers is looking for. They did lose Status fairly quickly on. The Yummy Cat and Frenzy was blocked him. He played that as best as he possibly could. They still don't have the Trespass Revol, which I think could have very much turned that fight. If that Trespass comes through, you end up seeing Starting All Over being stunned, and maybe Hammy survives that. Sibs gets in more damage because that 2v2 took a while. There's still a lot of fear that this whole chain combo could come through for Rogue, but Hammers are holding their own.
Goldmine is going to get started up from Rogue. Hammy still spinning up, and this is the danger zone for Hammers. They cannot just approach Hammy when he's fully spinned up like this. They need to insta-bin him like they've been doing before. They do actually steal the Gold Miner, in fact, but a Prime Directive will find the kill onto Status. Hammers do claim something, and that big, juicy Gold Miner is going to even the gold lead.
Yeah, that's great for them, the fact that they were able to steal that way, especially with Evil having the chains onto the Gold Miner. It's one of the values in that Turn Walker. Not only can you chain your enemies, you can also chain the jungle camps, and it spreads that damage out. So all the damage being dealt to Starting All Over when he was diving in, and Status when he was diving in, was being added to the Gold Miner. Same way the other direction. As they focus the Gold Miner, they're able to get value off of that. Evil is getting a good set of chains going. He's going to get them onto Status, and here comes the engagement.
Oh, nice Gauntlet straight onto Hammy again. That Yummy Cannon Frenzy is going to get blocked. A nice pullback as well. He does manage to survive, but Starting All Over still cuts him down. And now Starting All Over in the 1v1 versus Sibs. Sibs a little bit too strong for him right now, but Chicken, he's the last member for Hammers. Rogue do find 2 members, and again, Hammy, he is somehow surviving these fights, and if he can get a couple of shots off, it turns in Rogue's favor.
Yeah, they're surviving the fights much longer than he should be allowed to. He's got the Tyrant's Monocle now. He's working on that secondary crit item. He's done a great job of blocking out some of the crowd control. Now, his positioning was a little bit difficult there. Now, Sibs fighting Status. I don't think Sibs wants this fight.
No, he's got the Termination Protocol. He's going to pop it. Will pop in. Oh, no. Did look for the Prime Directive over the wall, but couldn't quite find the Gold Miner. Ends up going down when he goes into the Infinite Reboot.
Yeah, and that's a problematic death.
Status. Oh, repeat. Game number 1. Hammy just rolling away. He's going to use that roadie run, but Status still chasing him around that Crystal Sentry. Hammy is going to unleash the Gatling gun, but can't quite find any more damage. Torment onto 2 members of Hammers, but that's going to be it. Hammy's fairly low right now, and that will just result in a turret up in the lane for Hammers.
Yeah, a big cascade of events go in favor of Hammers off of finding Sibs in a little bit of a dangerous place. Yes, he was pushing out, getting some pressure onto the turret, pushing out the wave, but it was a little aggressive for him to be there for as long as he was, and that, just results in some problems for the side of Rogue. Hammy is starting to get online, but we can definitely see that Hollywood Hammers are not out of this yet. They may be able to snatch victory from the clutches of defeat and win this weekend off of, some great drafting, some good play. Despite how dominant Game 1 was, Game 2 was much more even, and Game 3 has not followed the same path.
I was worried this was going to be another Game 1 where it was over in 12 minutes, but we are 10 minutes into the game, and luckily for Hammers, Rogue haven't breached their base just yet. In fact, it's only 1 turret apiece thus far, and with Hammers now getting stronger, and more specifically Starting All Over, he's got Breaking Point, he's got Serpent's Mask, his survivability is strong. They're going to jump straight onto Hammy again. Yummy Candy Frenzy is going to get blocked by that Crucible, and Hammy is going to spin up. There comes the ultimate coming out from Sibs, but can't quite find it. The trespass comes through, and that's a double stun. This is going to be big. Hammy just needs to find his way into the fight, but Hollywood Hammers, they are a little bit too quick for Hammy to actually chase up. But Sibs, on the other hand, is not. Prime directive straight onto starting all over. Will dash towards Chicken, and Hammy is now in the fight once again. He just needs to be able to take out Starters, and then he can do something. He gets traded, starting all over once again in the 1v1 versus Sibs, but he ends up winning this one out this time around. Evo, now the last member alive of Rogue, is going to get chased down, trying to work his way towards that Crystal Century, but the damage has already been done. Hollywood Hammers find the ace.
The stacks, 20 stacks across that entire fight for starting all over, is really the answer that Hollywood Hammers needed to be able to win that fight. The Prime Directive and Termination Protocol combo had been used. That was used very early on in the fight, and it looked very good for Rogue. Rogue had managed to let Sibs use that ultimate, but didn't get punished for it. They managed to 2v3 on the side and keep status and starting over from being able to fully re-engage. But once they got deeper into that play, the stacks were there, and Hammy just got bursted by starting all over, even though they were able to bring down status. And then the stacks are much better for starting all over than they are for Sibs with that Dragon's Eye. He's going to be able to sustain those much better than in Alpha. And so he keeps his damage for so much longer, and they end up winning that 2v2 where we saw them lose it the time before.
9-10 the score lead. You wouldn't quite believe it after Rogue picked up the sword, but right now, Hollywood Hammers, they're in control. They are able to execute Hammy. Was this a bait in? Was this the reason they didn't ban the sword? Because they knew they could draft a composition that would be able to counter the turret pushing menace? Maybe that was the case, or maybe Hammy right now has got a little bit of stage fright. He's got double monocle, he's got that Sorrow Blade, he's got a reflex block. No real other defenses. He's relying heavily on Evo right now. Hollywood Hammers, they are going to start up the gold miner, but they are going to just back off instead. Was that a reflex block used by... It looked like a reflex block used by starting all over, but I don't think it was.
No, he's still got his, and there isn't a Crucible on the side of Hollywood Hammers, so... Not sure what that was.
Yeah, that was just a little shield. I was a bit confused there for a second. Maybe the shopkeeper was feeling generous.
Possibly. But Hammers are in prime position to be able to win this game after the way they've been playing those team fights. They've taken it slow enough so they're not being overwhelmed by the damage from Hammy. Every time they commit and kill him, they're able to secure the kill. It's not the common thing we see. You overcommit onto a saw, don't have enough damage, try and run away, and the moment you turn your back, you've lost. Those situations aren't really occurring for the side of Hammers. Evil hasn't been able to get into position to land maximum chain value. It's usually been two chains, and he's been able to get off a trespass afterwards. It's been good Churnwalker play, but it hasn't been wombo combo team fight winning Churnwalker play. And Sibs has been kind of forced onto the outskirts of the team fight. They need to get a 3-chain combo and let Sibs get a prime directive through everybody. That opens the fight up for them. That puts everybody in Hammy's 2 or 3 shot kill zone. And then Rogue start winning fights. Hammers, they just got to keep doing what they're doing. Dive Hammy repeatedly, but never, go too deep as that you can't walk away from it safely.
Yeah, the biggest item now that Chicken's picked up is that Echo. Now they've got 2 cylindrical surfaces to fight around. And cylindrical, it doesn't really go up. You can't really jump in Vainglory, but you know what I'm trying to say. 2 massive domes of...
the diagram of doom.
Yeah, it's getting late. What can I say? It's like 2 a.m. here. There you go. There's the gauntlet comes down. You see what circle I mean now. A double gauntlet, in fact. It's only going to find one, but Stutter's actually going to chase off Hammy. Look at him just annihilate him straight underneath his Crystal Century. He's already dead. Alpha's going to fall as well. That's 2 members down now for Rogue, and Evo's going to fall also. Trespass used, and he dashes over the wall just in time, but Hollywood Hammers coming back with a vengeance in this game, saying, Hammy, we just let you have that game number 1, buddy. We're just trying to get in your head.
Defeated.
I mean, Hammers are showing up. Great play by Status to be able to chase down the Saw, and it is a dangerous prospect for a Saw who's gone no lifesteal. He's all about the crit, which means they need to be there first, set up the fight, be dishing out the damage, have control over the team fights. Maybe a Serpent's Mask is what's in order for Hammy. Sell a Tyrant's Monocle, get that sustained, maybe that lets you survive the fight. But even then, it's been great coordination. That double gauntlet, the first one to force Hammy to run, the second one to lock in Sibs. Pretty much starting all over, killed Sibs on his own. He dropped him into the Infinite Reboot and then killed him again. Evol couldn't get over to Hammy to help him, because of just how far he was forced to run out of the fight, and Status can jump in and out of the fight and is fast enough to return to his team, that Hammers is taking complete control over this game. The Bonesaw is in for starting all over. The attack speed and the stacks are there. The sustain is there as well. If he's on top of Hammy, he's going to reduce all of his damage, and I don't even know if he needs to be the one to do that, because Status seems to be getting the job done.
Yeah, Status also feels like a little bit of a distraction tool as well right now. He just jumps on Hammy, and then you have to commit 2 members to try and save him, or he's just going to tear him up. And starting all over, like you mentioned, it's just evenly able to 1v1 Sibs. There's the 3 hooks coming in. The trespass is really good. Hammy just rolling backwards, but is it going to be enough? Starting all over is directly on top of him. Rose offensive through him as well. Prime directive is going to land onto 2 members, but that Kraken is still knocking on the base door. Does destroy 1 turret. Status is already dead. Chicken trying to run away as well, but it is hooked up for the time being, but a Vanguard over the wall will save him for now. Starting all over is actually going to go back in. Fancies his chances against Sibs. In fact, Infinite Reboot is still available, and that Termination Protocol will be popped, and that will be down for the time being. They have to deal with that Kraken, who's knocked a turret and a half down.
Dangerous position for Rogue, but Evil's keeping everybody at bay with the chains. He got the 3-chain combo down, got off the trespass, then rechained everybody throughout that fight, and Sibs was able to get that full burst damage through. So the possibility is there for the side of Rogue, but Hammy is just constantly being forced out of position. He's not able to sit there and auto attack. Maybe if he did, he would have been able to kill something, but it's just a dangerous prospect for him to stay still for any length of time. We saw him have to instantly reflect luck and run away, and then he had to use the roadie run, jump back to be able to get away from starting all over after he had dived. And it's dangerous even when it's a 2v3. Hammy is never safe.
The roadie run, reflex block, it's just not enough. And in fact, is he going to stick with this? He is. Okay. That's a big pickup for him and a big takeaway. Selling his boots here to pick up another weapon blade plus the nail tool jacket. Survivability is the name of the game right now, so that'll make a lot of sense.
I love it. I love that he's willing to take away his boots, because let's be real, his boots don't mean anything. He's caught.
Nothing.
He's already immobile. He's pretty much caught no matter what. Yes, tier 3 boots can allow a Saw to be able to move while keeping up that attack speed, but pretty much all of the fights, if he's forced to run completely out of the fight, it's too dangerous. Although I don't know why he would have picked up a weapon blade if he's going for the Serpent's Mask. It would just be better to pick up both abilities and get the life steal going, which means he might not be going for the Serpent's Mask, and we could possibly be seeing a fully spun up breaking point combo. It might be a tornado trigger, so that he spins up twice as fast and doesn't have to stand there and use the suppressing fire. He can kind of kite back while he's spinning up. That could be the possibility. I'm not sure, actually.
Is this too late in the game though? Because we're 20 minutes in and Rogue only have 2 turrets left. Hollywood Hammers have full vision control and just control of the front portion of Rogue's jungle right now. And it is only Sibs, the man on the Alpha, that's seemingly actually doing anything in these team fights, just killing the people that are trying to get and kill or just execute Hammy.
Wait, starting all over sold his boots too. Full carry mode for both of these weapon-powered carries. Starting all over is like, I think I'm fast enough to get in there. I've got the war treads from Arden. There's all this crowd control. 2 chains have landed.
Speaking about crowd control, hang on a second. Chicken's going to lay that gauntlet down. Another one is going to lock him in place, and Hammy's already dead. In fact, Evo and Sibs just need to survive. Termination protocol activated. Stardust is already just full health, it seems. He has that vest, and it doesn't matter what he does. Sibs is going to go down as well. Hammers finds the ace. Status using... Oh my good god. What an intelligent pickup from Status as well, subverting all that burst damage coming out. And they're just going to be able to take the turrets and end the game here. The death timers are way too long. Hollywood Hammers have done it. They finished first place this week, and Rogue end up falling. Hammers trying to make a name for themselves, destroy the crystal. SM Cloud9, you scratch every single name off that list. Hammers, they're coming for the #1 spot.
No shirt, no shoes, full service, says starting all over. He doesn't need boots to find that team fight. He wins an amazing series of games for his team. So much of that has been on how well starting all over has played over the course of these 3 series, and they've taken down all 3 of the major contenders. Is there a new king on the rise? Is somebody going to truly challenge TSM and Rogue for that top spot?
We thought it was all over. when Hammy picked up that saw again. Wasn't the case. In fact, Hollywood Hammers had more than just an answer for it. It seemed like they baited them in to picking it in draft phase, and they really showed actually a saw, if it doesn't get going at all, it just gets dove time and time again and gets executed.
Whew. This has been an interesting day of games, but we're going to send it over to Munchable and the boys at the desk to break this one down and finish out the day.
After all of that in this series, it feels like the Black Feather pick coming through for starting all over was the golden snitch for the side of Hammers. It was a back and forth game, exceptionally close throughout, but it was Hammers that managed to take